What's up everyone, welcome back to Fish of Hex. My name is Travis. Today's video we're going to be talking about ICP tests and why you should be using them in your reef tank. Now on top of that, I'm going to show you guys exactly what I use, the process of setting that up, and we'll look at the results really quick. I don't want to bore you guys with all that. But the main focus of this video is to kind of talk about why you should be using ICP tests and the benefits of your reef tank, knowing these water parameters that you just don't get from normal generic tests that you pick up at your local fish store or even off the internet. So with all that said, I just want to give a real quick shout out to everybody who came to the live stream yesterday. I had a really good time with that. For those of you who are new to the channel, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I hold a 2-hour live stream Q&A. It's a good time to hang out, bust some jokes, and just get your questions answered. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into the video. I'll try to make it as quick and painless as possible. Okay, so right off the bat, I've used two different ICP tests. The first one was from Triton when we were using the Triton method on the 30-gallon Nuval, and now I'm using the ICPanalysis.com. The reason why I made the switch is it's cheaper. The testing location is here within the United States. That means that the turnaround time for your results is quicker. And yeah, overall price, it's just cheaper, it's quicker, and it's just as easy as a Triton, so that's not really something that I would take into consideration. Now, when it comes to what one is better, I don't see a difference. They seem to be testing roughly the same things. I've never really dived into the exact differences between the two tests. All I know is that the ICP analysis gives me the information that I'm looking for, and it's pretty much that simple. So I will admit that the reviews on the ICP analysis are not that great, at least on bulkreefsupply.com. Now, if you look at the reviews, it really comes down to people not knowing how to ship this thing out. It's pretty simple. It comes in its own box with its own shipping address. All you have to do is provide your return address and then bring it to the post office. Don't put your own stamps on there. Don't try to figure it out yourself because it might get returned back to you or get lost within the system. Now just take it into the post office. They'll weigh it out. They'll put the correct postage and you won't have any issues. I've done it 4 times. No problems whatsoever. It cost me like $3, $4 to ship it out. But in the grand scheme of things, you'd rather get the shipping correct instead of kind of wondering where your stuff is located within the vast system of the U.S. Postal Service. So just keep that in mind when you're shipping this stuff out. Okay, so let's go to move on to the reasons why you want to have an ICP test performed on your reef tank. Now, the number one thing is you want to know what's going on truly within your water column. There's only so many tests that we can perform on our reef tanks: calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, potassium, iodine, nitrates, phosphates. There's some other ones out there, but that's pretty much the bulk of what we have when it comes to testing our reef tanks. And when you use an ICP test, it's testing a ton of different elements within the water, really giving you a fine-tuned look at what your reef tank has underneath the surface. And that's what's important to me. Sometimes the major things can play a really big role in how successful you are, but also the smaller things that you're missing. Or maybe you're dosing a supplement and you are overdosing it. Like for me, example, I was dosing iodine for a while and I accidentally put too much in there. I thought maybe I needed 5 drops every 3 days or 4 days or something like that. It actually turned out that I only needed to have 2 drops. So I was overdosing and I wouldn't have figured that out unless I had a pretty accurate reading from an ICP test. Now, with that said, yes, the ICP tests are expensive. You're looking at like $30 for it. It's a one-time thing. You're basically just taking, a vial of your water, shipping it out, and paying $30 plus shipping. So yes, I understand that it can be a little expensive, but that's why we tend to do it every 3 to 6 months, or at least I do, because in that time frame, things can happen to your tank. You can start dosing. You could be adding different livestock. You could be adding different tanks and making changes and not really realizing what impact you have on the overall water column. So setting out an ICP test at least every 3 months is really going to give you an insight on what's going on with your system and also prevent you from making mistakes or continuing to make mistakes that could potentially destroy the system. All right, so before we jump into my current test results with this ICP test, I want to let you guys know really quick that there is a full video on how to go through setting up this ICPanalysis.com test kit. Step by step, that video will be linked in the comment section and the description, but for the sake of making this one as short as possible, I did not include that in this video. So with that said, let's go to move on to the results. Now, when you come to ICPanalysis.com, you can see all of your previous tests. Now, as I mentioned, this is my 4th test. My last one was in September 29th of 2019, and here we are January 17th of 2020. Now, anything that's red means that it's either high or low. If it's white, then it's in the appropriate range and you shouldn't have to worry about it. So the fact that I only have 3 things, pretty happy about that. My previous one, a little bit more than that. Previous one, a little bit more. I'm just getting better at this whole water shit as life goes on, apparently. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive into what is red and what is wrong. So the first one is bromine. Now, if you look at the previous test, it was fine. Now it's a little low. I know why it's low. I've added new tanks, I've added a ton more coral to the system, and my current dosing of refuel, which provides bromine, is just not enough. I'm at 100 milliliters twice a week, and I'm going to bump that up to 125 milliliters twice a week. That should compensate for it and bring those levels back up to normal. So, not really worried about it. Going to make that adjustment through my current dosing. Now, moving on to another thing that I dose, potassium. As you can see, it's a little high. I don't know, it's supposed to be at 450, it's at 460. I don't even care. It's not a problem. I've had potassium up to 500 with no problems. I do dose this. I use the Brightwell Aquatics potassium. I am currently building my own supplement of potassium. It's in the works. I'm almost done with it. Either way, I will be switching over to mine once I'm completed with that. But for now, I use the Brightwells, and I dose 50 milliliters twice a week on about 500 gallons of water. And yeah, 460, not a problem. Again, it's a little high, but it's nothing to even be concerned about. Moving over to molybdenum. As you guys know, this has been a running theme for the tank. It's been high for a while. The reason why it's high is I dosed it early on and I dosed too much of it. And it's one of those things that, yes, it's part of my refuel, so there is a little bit in the refuel. So getting it to drop is just taking longer because it is slowly being added to the tank. Now, I haven't seen any ill effects with molybdenum. I've never had anything bad come from it. I researched it before, and it has to do with the skeletal structure and stuff like that. Never had a problem, and I don't really think of it being too much of an issue. Now, on the grand scheme of things, it's not too bad. It's really not too bad compared to where it should be. If you look at the recommended, they're looking at 0 to 0.02. I'm at 0.03. So it's nothing crazy. Again, it's a little high, just like the potassium, but nothing to really worry about or make any major changes to the system. But yeah, grand scheme of things, only having 3 things that are, I guess, out of range, and 2 of them are easily controlled with my current dosing is pretty good when you look at kind of how the system has progressed over the last year or so. I'm happy with that. That means that what I'm doing is correct, and yeah, I'm not stressing about it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to increase some of my dosing, and that is why I like these ICP tests, is because I can see these things. Okay, what I'm doing works, so I'm not going to mess that up. I'm not going to make any changes. I'm just going to keep doing it, and yeah, that's how it is right now. And again, this is why I like doing these ICP tests. Okay, now that you guys have seen my test results, we've talked about why these ICP tests are important. Let me just end this video with a little bit of a disclaimer or a warning for those of you who do these tests. Now, when you do ICP tests, there is a chance that you're going to get addicted to them. If you have the money, and if some people do, you can do one of these tests quite often, once per month, whatever you want. But understand that if you're the type of person that likes chasing numbers and you like fine-tuning things to the point where you're going to make changes every single time you do an ICP test, don't do them that often. Every 3 months to 6 months is fine. If you're doing one every month or every few weeks or every week, if you got the money, that's a bad idea. I think you're going to overwhelm yourself with trying to dial a reef tank in too much, and then you're going to cause further problems. Just like chasing pH, you don't want to be chasing numbers that aren't really going to have an overall impact of how healthy your system is. You could cause more damage to your tank. So this is basically how I'm ending the video. ICP tests are great for those of you who want to fine tune and get a really good idea of how your overall water column is within your reef tank. If you are addicted to chasing numbers and doing shit like that, don't do them that often. 3 months to 6 months is my recommendation. So hope you guys have a good day. Hopefully I will have another video out tomorrow. That's the plan, every single day. I try to do what I can. If you like this content, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, any questions, put them in the comment section. All right, peace.